Listen, I have been doing this job for 17 cycles, and I have seen things that would make your feeding sacks shrivel up and die. I have tracked Venusian smugglers through acid storms. I have cornered Graxian warlords in their own fortresses. I have even, and this is not something I admit lightly, survived a negotiation with a Thalaxian lawyer. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened on Ashford Prime. My name is Vrek, and I hunt people for money. Not the most noble profession, I know, but someone has to keep the galaxy's trash from floating around unchecked, right? Besides, the pay is excellent, and the Kalthari Syndicate does not ask too many questions about methodology. We get results. That is what matters. So when the contract came through for one Eva, a human female who allegedly stole military-grade technology from a colonial outpost, I thought, great, easy money. Humans have this reputation, you see. Unpredictable, sure. Emotional, absolutely. Dangerous when cornered, I will give them that. But at the end of the day, they are still soft, squishy mammals who need oxygen and water and all sorts of inconvenient things to survive. How hard could it be? The contract was straightforward. Retrieve the stolen goods, bring her in alive if possible, dead if necessary. The syndicate did not care which, as long as the technology came back. The payout was substantial, enough to retire on if I wanted to. Split 3 ways between me and my crew, it was still a fortune. My crew. Right. Let me tell you about them. First, there was Torque. Big guy, even by Graxian standards. His species evolved on a high-gravity world where everything wants to eat you. So naturally, they evolved into walking tanks covered in bony plates and bad attitudes. Torque was my muscle, my enforcer. The one who kicked down doors and asked questions, never. Because honestly, who was going to argue with him? He stood 3 meters tall, weighed roughly 400 kilos, and could punch through reinforced steel. Perfect for this line of work. Then there was Lena. She was Arkelian, which meant she had 6 fingers on each hand, and a brain that processed data faster than most ship computers. Tech specialist, hacker, the one who could crack any security system or trace any digital footprint. Small, slight, with those big amber eyes that never seemed to blink. Creepy, if I am being honest, but invaluable on a job like this. We picked up Eva's trail pretty quickly. Lena tracked her ship's ion signature across 4 systems, following the residual particles like breadcrumbs. The human was not even trying to hide, which should have been our first warning sign. But no, we were confident. Cocky, even. We had done this 100 times before. The trail led us to Ashford Prime, a backwater mining colony on the edge of civilized space. Population maybe 50,000, spread across a handful of settlements. The kind of place people go when they want to disappear or when they have warrants in more populated systems. Minimal security, no orbital defenses, just a few local enforcers who were probably more interested in their lunch breaks than actual law enforcement. Perfect place for a fugitive to lay low. Or so I thought. We landed our ship, the Talon's Edge, about 10 kilometers from the coordinates Lena had calculated. No point in announcing our arrival, right? Element of surprise and all that tactical nonsense. The landing zone was rough, mostly scrubland and red dust, with some scraggly vegetation that looked like it was barely clinging to life. The local star was a dim orange thing that cast everything in this perpetual sunset glow. Depressing, honestly. Torque lumbered down the loading ramp, his heavy footfalls making the whole ship shake. "So where is this human hiding?" he growled, his voice like rocks in a grinder. Lena consulted her handheld scanner, those amber eyes reflecting the screen's glow. 15 kilometers northeast. Single structure, isolated. Farmstead by the looks of it. A farmstead. The human was hiding out on a farm. I could not help but laugh. A farm. She stole military technology and ran to a farm? Humans are weird. Torque grunted, which was possibly the most insightful thing he had ever said. We took the rover, a battered six-wheeled transport that had seen better decades. The terrain was rough, all hills and gullies, with the occasional massive boulder thrown in for variety. As we got closer, I started actually seeing the farmstead through my scope. It was, disappointingly, exactly what you would expect. A two-story structure, wood and synthetic materials, painted white with blue trim. Very quaint, very human. There was a barn off to one side, painted red. Because apparently humans have this biological need to paint their agricultural buildings red. Some kind of cultural thing I have never understood. A few smaller outbuildings, what looked like solar collectors, a water reclamation tower, standard frontier setup. Looks empty, Torque observed, squinting at the property. He was right. No lights, no movement, no vehicles visible. The place had that abandoned feeling, like when you walk into a room right after someone has left it. The air practically hummed with absence. Maybe she saw us coming and ran, Lena suggested, though she did not sound convinced. I scanned the area with my thermal optics. Nothing. Not even the heat signature of a running refrigeration unit. Or maybe she's just inside, waiting. For what? Torque asked. For us, you idiot, I snapped, though I was starting to feel uneasy myself. What kind of question is that? We parked the rover behind a rocky outcrop about 200 meters from the main house. Basic tactical approach, nothing fancy. Torque would take the front, I would enter through the side. Lena would cover the barn and outbuildings. Simple extraction. In and out. Quick and clean, except nothing about this felt quick or clean. The wind had picked up, carrying that peculiar smell that farms always have. Something organic and earthy and slightly unpleasant. The scrubland grass whispered and hissed around us. In the distance, I could hear some kind of local animal making a warbling cry. The place felt wrong, but I could not put my secondary lung on why. Torque moved toward the front entrance with all the subtlety of a meteor strike, his heavy boots crunching on the gravel path. Lena slipped toward the barn like a shadow, her scanner held up, sweeping for electronic signatures. I approached the side door, weapon drawn, safety off, every sense on high alert. The door was unlocked, just unlocked, hanging open actually, like an invitation. Yeah, that should have been warning sign number 2. I pushed it open wider with my boot, weapon raised, and stepped inside. The interior was, unsettlingly, completely normal. A kitchen to my left, clean counters, dishes in the drying rack, a living area ahead, couch, table, some kind of entertainment screen on the wall. Stairs leading up to what I assumed were sleeping quarters. Pictures on the walls, though I did not stop to examine them closely. And on the counter, I kid you not, there was a half-eaten piece of fruit. Fresh, still glistening with juice. Someone had been here minutes ago, maybe less. I touched my comm unit. Torque, Lena, report. Static. Just static. I tried again. Anyone copy? More static, with what might have been a word buried in the interference, but I could not make it out. Great. Just great. Communications down. Probably just local interference, some mineral deposit in the rocks playing havoc with our signals. Happens all the time on frontier worlds. Nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing to worry about at all. I moved through the kitchen, checking corners, clearing rooms the way I had been trained. Everything was neat, organized, lived in, There was a calendar on the wall with some kind of local agriculture schedule marked on it. Planting dates, harvest times, maintenance reminders. The mundane details of a boring, peaceful life, which made exactly 0 sense for a fugitive with stolen military technology. I was halfway across the living area when the lights went out. All of them. Every single light source, all at once. Even the ambient glow from the entertainment screen, gone. The only illumination came from the windows, and that dim orange sunlight did not reach far into the house's interior. I switched to thermal vision, my implants adjusting automatically. And that is when I noticed something that made my blood turn cold. The house was freezing, not naturally cold, but actively cooled. The walls, the floors, the ceiling, everything was the same low temperature, which meant my thermal vision was useless. I could not see heat signatures because there were no heat signatures. Everything was equalized. And then I heard it, a sound from upstairs. Not a footstep exactly. More like something being dragged across the floor. Slow, deliberate, heavy. "Hello?" I called out, hating how uncertain my voice sounded. "Eva? I know you are in here. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Your choice." Silence. Then, from somewhere above me, a laugh. A human laugh, female, amused. "Oh, Vrek," a voice said, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "I was wondering when you would show up. Do me a favor, would you? Look out the front window." My finger tightened on the trigger. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" "The window, Vrek. Front of the house." "Go on. I will wait." Every instinct screamed at me not to, but I needed to see what she was talking about. I moved to the front window, keeping my weapon up, my back to the wall. I looked outside. Torque was lying in the mud in front of the house, face down, not moving. His massive body was completely still, too still. And standing in the doorway of the barn, barely visible in the dim light, was a figure. Human-shaped, female, watching me. The voice came again, pleasant, conversational. "Your friend is still alive, for now. But your tech specialist? Well, she is in the kitchen behind you. You might want to check on her." I spun around, weapon raised, heart pounding. I had just been in the kitchen. It was empty. I was sure it was empty. I moved back through the doorway, into the kitchen space, scanning with my weapon light since thermal was useless. Lena was there, crumpled in the corner by the refrigeration unit, those big amber eyes staring at nothing. Her neck was bent at an angle that necks should not bend. Clean. Professional. Quick. I had walked right past her body when I entered. She had been killed silently, positioned deliberately, while I was clearing other rooms, which meant the human had been in the house with me the entire time. I spun back toward the living area, weapons sweeping, breathing hard. "Show yourself." The voice again, still calm, still amused. "But I am showing myself, Vrek. I have been showing myself since you landed. You just were not paying attention." The lights came back on, bright and sudden, making me flinch. And standing at the bottom of the stairs, like she had been there all along, was Eva. She looked, disappointingly, completely ordinary. Average height, maybe 1.7 meters. Brown hair pulled back, dark eyes. Wearing practical work clothes, dirt on her boots. She could have been anyone. Any human farmer on any frontier world. Except for the way she was looking at me. Like I was a particularly interesting insect she had found in her garden. "Hello, Vrek," she said, smiling slightly. "Welcome to my home. I am afraid you were not invited, but I am willing to overlook that breach of etiquette. For now." I aimed my weapon at her center mass. "Do not move. You are under arrest for theft of military property and murder." She tilted her head, genuinely curious. "Am I? Under arrest, I mean. Because it seems to me like you are in my house, pointing a weapon at me after killing one of my chickens with your rover. Do you know how hard it is to raise chickens on this dust ball? Very hard, Vrek. Very hard. I did not come here to discuss poultry." "No," she agreed, her smile fading. "You came here to kill me, or drag me back to whoever hired you. Probably that corrupt admiral trying to cover up his war crimes. Am I close?" I said nothing. She sighed. "Right. Well, here is how this is going to work. You are going to lower that weapon. Then you are going to sit down on that couch. And then we are going to have a conversation about exactly how badly you messed up today. Sound good?" "I will shoot you," I warned, though my hand was shaking now. Eva looked at me with something like pity. "Vrek, your weapon has been disabled since you entered the house. Electromagnetic pulse, localized, triggered when you crossed the threshold. Your gun is a very expensive paperweight right now. Go ahead, try to fire it." I pulled the trigger. Nothing, not even a click. She nodded. "See? Now, sit down. We have a lot to talk about, you and I. Starting with why you thought it was a good idea to hunt a human in her own home." I sat down. What else could I do? I sat on that couch, my useless weapon still gripped in trembling hands, and watched Eva move around her living room like she was preparing tea for a guest. Which, I suppose, in some twisted way, I was. "Comfortable?" she asked, settling into a chair across from me. Not too close, I noticed. Keeping distance. Professional. "You killed Lena," I said, my voice hoarse. "I did," Eva confirmed. No hesitation, no remorse. Quick, painless. She never saw it coming. That is more mercy than she would have given me, I think. "And Torque?" "Alive, tranquilized. Enough sedative to drop a cargo hauler. He will wake up with a headache and absolutely no memory of the last hour. Consider it a gift." She leaned back, studying me. "You want to know how I knew you were coming?" I nodded, unable to form words. "Your ship's signature pinged every commercial sensor within 3 systems. Lena was good, I will give her that. But she was tracking my ion trail using syndicate databases, which I have access to. Had access to. Past tense now, obviously." Eva smiled, thin and sharp. "I have been watching you since you left Helix Station 4 days ago." 4 days? We had been so careful, so tactical, so professional. "The contract was a setup," I managed to say. "Give the hunter a prize," Eva said, her tone mocking. "Yes, Vrek. The contract was a setup. There is no stolen technology." "Well, there is. But it is mine. Biometric data, neural patterns, retinal scans. Everything that proved I existed. I erased it, all of it. And someone, a certain admiral with a lot to hide, decided he wanted me erased too. Why? Because I know things. Did things. Bad things, Vrek. Very bad things. Black operations, wet work, the kind of assignments that do not exist in any official record. And when I decided I was done, when I wanted out, they decided I was a liability." She stood, walking to the window. "So I came here, built a life, grew vegetables, raised those stupid chickens you killed, tried to be normal." "You could have just told us," I protested. We could have walked away." Eva turned, and her expression made me shrink back into the couch. "Could you? Really? The Kalthari Syndicate just walks away from a contract because the target asks nicely? Try again." She was right. We would have completed the mission, one way or another. "So what now?" I asked. "You kill me too? Bury me next to Lena?" "Now, Eva said, walking back to stand in front of me. You listen. Really listen. Because I am about to give you the most valuable lesson of your entire life. I waited. Humans, she began, are not like other species. We did not evolve in a nice environment. Our planet tried to kill us constantly, every single day. Predators, diseases, weather, other humans. Everything wanted us dead. So we learned. We adapted. We became paranoid, suspicious, clever. We built weapons, traps, defenses. We turned our entire existence into preparation for the next threat. She gestured around the house. This place? It is not a farm. It is a fortress. Every wall has sensors. Every entrance has countermeasures. The barn has automated defenses that could stop an armored battalion. I knew you were coming before you knew you were coming. That is what humans do, Vrek. We prepare. That is insane, I whispered. That is survival, Eva corrected. And here is the part you really need to understand. I am retired. I am one of the nice ones now. I grow food. I read books. I have not killed anyone in 3 years. She leaned down, her face centimeters from mine. There are millions of humans out there who are not retired, who are still active, still hunting, still waiting for people like you to make mistakes. Do you understand what I am telling you? I understood. Oh, I understood perfectly. You are going to let me go, I said, not quite believing it. I am, Eva confirmed, because you are going to deliver a message for me. Eva walked to a cabinet and pulled out a data chip, the kind with military-grade encryption. She tossed it to me. I caught it clumsily, my hands still shaking. Everything you need is on there, she said. Names, dates, transaction records, evidence of who hired the syndicate, why they wanted me dead, and what they did to cover it up. War crimes, Vrek. Civilian massacres blamed on insurgents. Children. Hospitals. The kind of things that start tribunals. I stared at the chip. Why are you giving this to me? Because you are going to take it back to the syndicate. They are going to use it. And they are going to collect a very substantial reward from the galactic courts for exposing a corrupt flag officer. She smiled. Consider it payment for your trouble, and motivation to spread the word about what happens when people hunt humans. Nobody will believe me, I said. They will believe the evidence. They will believe the payout. Whether they believe your story? She shrugged. That is your problem. Eva moved toward the door, gesturing for me to follow. I stood on unsteady legs, following her outside. The orange sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the property. Torque was still face down in the mud, breathing but unconscious. Help me with him, Eva said. Together, and I use that term loosely because she did most of the work, we dragged Torque's massive body toward the barn. She was stronger than she looked, a lot stronger. The barn doors swung open automatically, revealing an interior that was definitely not designed for farming. Equipment racks lined the walls. Weapons, tools, devices I did not recognize. A medical bay in one corner, a workshop, computer terminals with multiple screens showing sensor data from around the property. This was not a barn. This was a command center. Impressive, right? Eva said, noticing my expression. Took me 2 years to build all this. Mostly salvage parts, some custom fabrication. The auto turrets and those fake boulders, those were fun to design. You are insane, I said again, because apparently that was all my brain could process. Prepared, she corrected again. There is a difference. She activated something on her wrist device, and a section of the barn floor slid open, revealing stairs leading down. Underground bunker, reinforced, shielded, enough supplies to last 5 years. because that is what humans do when they settle somewhere. We dig in. I looked down into that darkness and felt my stomach turn. What about Lena? What about her? Her body? What are you going to do with it? Eva's expression went cold. Do you really want to know? Or would you prefer to leave here with some illusions intact? I decided I did not want to know. She walked me back to my rover, Torque already loaded in the back, still unconscious. My weapon too, though she had removed the power cell. That will reactivate in about 6 hours, she said, nodding at the gun. Plenty of time for you to get off-world. That is it? I asked. You just let me go? That is it. Eva confirmed. You take the chip. You deliver the message. You tell everyone what happened here. And maybe, just maybe, the next bounty hunter who gets a contract on a human living alone on a frontier world will think twice before accepting it. And if they don't? Eva's smile was colder than vacuum. Then they learn the same lesson you did, the hard way. She stepped back from the rover. One more thing, Vrek. If anyone comes back here looking for evidence, looking for bodies, looking for me, they will find nothing, because I am very, very good at making things disappear, including myself. Understand? I understood. I started the rover, hands gripping the controls too tight. As I drove away, I looked back once. Eva was standing in front of her house, already pulling a tarp toward the spot where Torque had fallen. Erasing, evidence, cleaning up. Like this was just another day on the farm. 3 months later, I found myself in a bar on Outpost Kelvin, nursing a drink that tasted like recycled coolant and regret. The syndicate had paid out, just like Eva predicted. The data chip exposed Admiral Thorne, turned him over to the galactic courts, and collected a bounty that made our original contract look like pocket change. They gave me the entire amount. Compensation for my lost crew, they said. Danger pay. Shut up money, more accurately. I was rich now. Rich enough to retire, buy a ship, disappear into the outer colonies, and never work again. But I could not stop thinking about that farm. 4 younger hunters sat at my table, listening to me ramble. They thought I was drunk. Maybe I was. One of them, a Krell named Dax, kept snickering into his beverage. So let me understand this correctly, Dax said, his mandibles clicking with amusement. One human female defeated your entire crew, killed your tech specialist, knocked out a Graxian enforcer, and let you go with a data chip and a lecture? That is exactly what happened, I said. And you expect us to believe this? Another one asked, a female Ventari named Kira. That humans are somehow these terrifying predators? I expect you to be smart, I said flatly. But clearly, that is asking too much. Dax laughed louder. What happened to the bodies? Your Graxian friend? Your tech specialist? Where did they end up? I took a long drink before answering. When Syndicate investigators went to Ashford Prime 2 months after it happened, they found nothing. The farmstead was pristine, clean, no bodies, no blood, no evidence anyone had ever been there besides Eva herself. And she was gone. Vanished. No forwarding address, no ship registration, no trace. Convenient story, Kira said. The barn was empty. Just farming equipment. The underground bunker I saw, they found nothing. Either it never existed, or she filled it in and hid it so perfectly that military-grade scanners could not detect it. I met each of their eyes in turn. She erased everything in less than 3 months, including herself. Maybe you made it all up, Dax suggested. Got your crew killed through incompetence, invented a story to cover it up, collected the payout anyway. I shrugged. Believe what you want. But I am telling you this as someone who has been hunting for 17 cycles. If you ever, and I mean ever, get a contract on a human, especially one living alone on a frontier world, walk away. Just walk away. Why? The youngest one asked, a Perleon named Tico who had been quiet until now. Because humans do not think like we do. They do not react like we do. When we get scared, we run or fight. When humans get scared, they plan. They prepare. They turn their homes into traps and wait for threats to come to them. That farmstead, that was her killing ground. She chose it. She built it. She knew every centimeter of it. We walked into her territory and thought we were the hunters. You are paranoid, Kira said, but she sounded less certain now. I am alive, I corrected. Lena is not. Torque disappeared 6 weeks ago, left the syndicate, did not tell anyone where he was going. Last I heard, he was seen boarding a transport heading for the galactic rim, as far from human space as possible. I finished my drink, stood up, dropped payment on the table. Take my advice or do not. I do not care anymore. But remember this. There are billions of humans scattered across hundreds of worlds. Most of them are peaceful, normal, boring. But some of them, the ones who choose isolation, the ones who build farms in the middle of nowhere. I paused at their table. Those are the ones who know exactly what they are. And they are waiting for idiots like us to give them a reason to remember. I left them there, walked out into the station's artificial twilight, and looked up at the viewport. Thousands of stars, millions of worlds, endless opportunities and dangers. Somewhere out there, Ava was probably planting crops again, building another fortress, preparing for the next threat. Because that is what humans do. They survive, they adapt, they prepare, and they never, ever forget. I have not taken another contract since Ashford Prime. I probably never will. The money will last me the rest of my life, however long that is. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if Eva is still out there, watching, waiting. I wonder if she ever thinks about that day, about the 3 hunters who followed her home. Probably not. For her, we were just another problem solved, another threat eliminated, another day on the farm. For me, it was the day I learned the most important lesson in the hunting business. Some prey are not prey at all. Some prey are just predators who have chosen not to hunt, until you give them a reason.